China's move is indeed ruthless. At the negotiating table between China and the United States, after China made radical demands, Trump's attitude changed dramatically. He signed 3 presidential decrees in a row, and now he is waiting for China to choose between the two. According to a report by the Washington Post, Bessent stated that some of the demands put forward by the Chinese delegation in the Stockholm negotiations were quite radical, which made the United States dumbfounded on the spot. Although the U.S. side refused to disclose what was specifically said, judging from Trump's aggressive actions afterwards, it is estimated that this statement has hit a soft spot on the American people. Being able to make Bessent use the word radical shows that China is really not polite this time. As soon as the negotiation ended, Trump couldn't sit still. On September 16th local time, 3 presidential decrees were signed in one go, adjusting import tariffs and extending the ban on TikTok. Restarting the assessment of chip tariffs. With these 3-pronged approach, discerning people can see that it has been stimulated by the Chinese side. Normally, Americans threaten others at the negotiation table, but now it's their turn to be threatened. Can we not be impatient? The current Trump is a typical example of being tough on the tongue and soft on the hand. On the one hand, he wants to pretend to be a tough guy in front of China, and various presidential decrees are flying around. On the other hand, they dare not really make things bigger. After all, the U.S. economy cannot withstand the consequences of a complete face-tearing, so they can only use this seemingly intimidating executive order to brush their presence, which is actually more like giving themselves courage. The Chinese side did come prepared in Stockholm this time, not only refusing to budge on tariff issues, but also proposing a bunch of unexpected conditions for the U.S. side on sensitive topics, such as rare earth technology transfer. Especially in the rare earth sector, what the Chinese delegation said was that it was of a high level. If the United States continues to mess around, rare earth supply may encounter some technical difficulties. This may sound polite, but its destructive power is not small. You should know that 70% of rare earths in the United States rely on us. If there is a technical failure, the high-tech industry in the United States will immediately shut down. The Chinese side also made a demand this time that almost caused Americans to fall off their chairs, demanding that the United States promise not to use national security as an excuse to attack Chinese companies again within 5 years. As soon as these words were spoken, the face of the U.S. delegation was full of excitement, which was equivalent to asking the United States to discard the most important card in its hand. No wonder Beckett said this request. It needs to be carefully considered. From a temporal perspective, Trump's signing of the presidential decree at this time of the election is clearly an attempt to give China warning. The ban has been extended until December, coinciding with a sensitive period. The reassessment of chip tariffs aims to create obstacles for China in the semiconductor industry. The adjustment of tariff scope is also preparing for a possible new round of competition. This combination of punches looks quite imposing. Actually, it's more like a performance of being strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. Trump signed these seemingly hardcore presidential decrees while also letting the White House spokesperson signal a willingness to continue the dialogue. This kind of operation of waving a stick and handing carrots at the same time is called a dual strategy in a diplomatic circle. But the problem is that China no longer follows this set of rules. This situation is actually a good thing for China now. The more impatient and contradictory the United States shows, the more it indicates that they are already at a disadvantage in this game. The fact that China dares to impose these radical conditions in Stockholm itself indicates a clear understanding of the current situation. Now the United States needs to reach some kind of agreement more than China to ease the pressure. Although these presidential decrees by Trump may seem grand, their actual effectiveness depends on how China responds. If China chooses to confront head-on, Trump may really have a headache. If the Chinese side were to use a Tai Chi push and pull 1,000 pounds, then Trump's big moves are likely to be lifting a stone and hitting himself in the foot. No wonder those so-called China experts in Washington have been reassessing their judgment of China recently. The era of hiding one's strength and biding one's time is indeed over. In today's China, we take action when necessary and never hesitate to be tough when necessary. The presidential decrees signed by Trump are not so much a deterrent to China as a helpless recognition of this reality.